Hey all, just a quick update from the Bear Lake Brawl today. Ended up taking second, which you can never complain too much about a podium. Wasn't the performance that I was really hoping for. The conditions were actually quite tough. Probably on the cold side, the toughest conditions that I've ever dealt with. The water was really choppy. They almost canceled the race, or the swim portion of the race, as we were standing waiting to get in because of the chop, but they were able to figure it out that if we swam along the course or along the shoreline and did 3 out and backs for a 70.3 swim, if you can believe that, while there's Olympic and sprint athletes doing their out and backs as well. So it was a bit of a madhouse in the swim, but they were able to make it happen, which is great. I mean, 2020's been rough enough, so to be able to at least do the full triathlon the first time we get to a start line is great. Came out of the water in a good spot, and was able to really feel good early on the bike. I wasn't sure what it was going to feel like, just because this is at 6,200 feet, I believe, and I'm coming from Iowa, which is not at 6,200 feet. So heart rate was a little high. It didn't really settle like it normally does, but my legs felt good, and I was able to push pretty hard in the first little bit. I actually moved up into second on the bike about 10 to 15 miles in, and ended up working with Chris Lieferman and Brad Weiss for most of the ride, which is always good to have company. With a time trial start, I'm not sure where that put us all in overall time, but in actual run time we were sitting second, third, and fourth. And so the first hour was super fast. I felt great. We had a nice tailwind, so I think I was 32 miles an hour for the first hour on the bike, which is doesn't suck at all. Came back in. The water temperature was 61 degrees. The air temperature was about 45, which was manageable since it's relatively dry here. Until about mile 40 it started to sprinkle a little bit, and then mile 46 we took a turn and it started to rain pretty hard. And I'm not a big dude, and I didn't handle that well at all. My power fell off, my pace fell off, my heart rate dropped. I was shivering so bad. The entire time I was struggling to get calories in because I couldn't grab my bottle, and my hands just wouldn't work. Unfortunately, when we crossed when we went by the transition area to do the last little distance grab out and back, Brad Weiss wasn't able to keep going. He pulled the pin there because of the cold. I nearly did a couple times as well. The last out and back the last 10 miles were just miserable from just a freezing cold perspective. I definitely lost quite a bit of time there to Sam, who ended up winning, and then Justin, who got third, put in a fair amount of time in that section as well to me. The bigger bodies can tend to handle the heat a little bit, or the cold a little bit better. Got off in transition in third place. Chris Lieferman put a few seconds on me, but we were both in transition at the same time. Neither one of us could get our bike shoes off. Neither one of us could get our running shoes on. But we finally figured it out, and we're able to get out onto the run. And the run, I was just really calorie deficient, unfortunately, because I only got about 300 in on the bike, just not having the dexterity with the hands to manage bottles, especially with a crosswind. I knew it was going to be a struggle, but it just was dealing with the conditions that we had. I actually had to stop and stretch a couple times in the first mile because of some cramping, just being so tense because of the cold on the bike, and then again being calorie deficient. But was able to get them to go away, thankfully, and ran pretty decent for the first 6 miles, 6.5 miles, got to the turnaround. I made a little bit of time up on Sam Long, but not enough to really make it competitive. So at that point, my quads were starting to fight me quite a bit, and the last 6.5 were up a false flat and into the wind. So at that point it was just about doing what I had to do to get to the finish line and protect second place, which was happy to do. Congrats to Sam. Sam had a great race. he came off out of the water right behind me, and then was out of transition before I was, and I never saw him again really the rest of the day. So you know, he definitely put together a good performance. And then Justin Metzler rounded out the podium as well, another JD Crew athlete, which is always good to see Coach Julie's athletes doing well. Holly Benner got third, another JD Crew athlete. So all in all, it was a good day. We got to race in 2020, and I got another podium in 2020, which you can't complain about. I would have liked to have a little bit better performance, especially on the run side of things, but you know, that's racing, and you just got to deal with the conditions that you do. Huge thanks to the local organizers for allowing this to happen, especially with the pro field. They fought really hard to make this race go off and to allow us to just do what we love to do. And again, we couldn't have been here without the PTO stepping up and throwing in some prize money. So big thanks to them as well. I've got a short recovery, and then I'm off to Cozumel next week. Don't worry, I am getting tested on Tuesday. So as long as that comes back negative on Thursday, I'll fly out on Friday and racing again, Cozumel 70.3. Until then.